There's a video of a morning routine that apparently saved a young man's life that went viral on Twitter recently, or X as it's now known. As you can see here, it's got 41 million views, which is saying something. And I'm playing said video on your screen right now. It's only about 30 seconds long, and as you can see, he seems to live in a tropical location. He's in excellent shape, and he's got all of the mod cons you need these days, from fancy coffee makers, the whole shebang. Now, I'm not trying to dig this guy out. Fair play to him for earning all of these things. If he has earned them, of course. It may be daddy's money, but let's give him the benefit of the doubt. But as we can see, he's achieved the life that I suppose the Instagrammers of the world will tell you is the ultimate apex. It's probably why he says this morning routine, quote, saved his life. But I must say, something about this video doesn't quite fit. It might be that it's unrealistic for every 25-year-old to drive a Lamborghini and have a multi-million-pound condo. But I think more importantly, it speaks to the materialist individualism of the age. There's no kids he has around him, despite having plenty of money to support them. There's no wife. There's no consideration for the community. Now, as you might imagine, inevitably this has drawn associations with Patrick Bateman of the great cult movie American Psycho. Patrick Bateman, of course, is a total narcissist, extremely handsome man with a sculpted body, but his life is defined by a sort of nihilistic materialism. All of his wants and needs are defined by the culture around him. He's assured that certain bands are good, that products are good, and he wants to ensure the world thinks he's perfect. As the great line in the movie goes, Patrick Bateman is an idea. And while I feel a bit mean about aligning this guy with Patrick Bateman, I'm sure he's not a psycho, I'm sure he's a perfectly nice young man. It is notable that many years ago in the 90s, this was seen as parody-worthy, but in this day and age, it's sold to youngsters as the apex of achievement. Even the examples of spiritual expression we see are optimized for maximal physical performance. It's in infrared saunas, involves meditations and ice baths. And let's be honest, no working man has time for all this in the morning anyway. Personally, I try and have a morning routine which consists of praying, meditating and reading scripture. Last 15 minutes, that's all I have before I need to get on with family duties and a full-time job. And it does beg the question, what's this routine all in aid of? Is it his family, his community? Is it for God? Is it to try and help other young men? Well, the reality is, of course, it's about none of those things. It's about self-celebration. And again, I don't blame this young man for this. In many ways, he's just achieved exactly what modern materialism has told him to. I'm sure he's imbibed many Joe Rogan, Andrew Huberman and Andrew Tate podcasts about biohacking yourselves and making as much money as you possibly can. Yet this guy is in a landscape of what is quite frankly total BS, with a lot of narcissists showing off about their morning routines that are completely impractical and probably all lies.
I'm up at 4 a.m. From 4 to 4:20, I do a book on double speed, so I'm listening. At 4:20, I'm on the treadmill with my wife, and we're doing an active meditation together for 40 minutes. It includes a reverie where we're basically aligning the pharmacy of the body to over-dopamine the mind by gratitude, serotonin the brain, and then we shift into Mind Palace, which is 20 minutes of co-creating our best bodies. 5 o'clock, we then hit the weights. That happens between 5 and 7. And then between 7 and 8, that's my time with my wife. Between 8 and 9 is an hour with our kids after we shower and get ready, where we're doing breakfast and life lessons. And by 9 a.m., the day technically hasn't started yet, but everything that was important to me is done.
Yeah, believable. However, even if this guy really did do this, he would be deeply unhealthy rather than healthy. The amount of time this takes, 5-6 hours in the morning before you've even got started, you're just going to burn yourself out. Now, I hope it goes without saying here that I'm certainly not trying to demean discipline, hard work, physical health. These things are exceptionally important. But it seems quite obvious that at this time in our lives, especially on social media, these things have taken on such importance, they blank out the real spiritual essence of our lives and what makes us true men. In essence, my point is, in our personal and spiritual transformation, yes, physical health and discipline is exceptionally important, but it depends what it's in the service of. If it's in the service of our tradition, of our community, of God, of our growth toward the divine, then wonderful, perfect. But if it's in the service of the self and one's own self-promotion, we get into this world of sickness where it's no longer really about growth and wellness, but quite the opposite. Now, while I'm not nearly as bad as these guys, I have had to learn lessons to do with pride and the body in recent years. Now, I worked out solidly for about 10 years, not obsessively, and I was in quite good shape. And then I got quite a bad injury, which meant I couldn't really work out. And then I had to come to peace with the fact that my body was going to change. I wasn't going to be in apex physical shape. I've done enough spiritual inquiry at this point to know that if I'm struggling to let go of a certain physical thing, be it a material possession or even how I see my body, then there's probably something unhealthy there, an element of pride. Now, I used to read the Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh quite a lot back in the day, and he had a very good teaching that everything is an opportunity for a spiritual lesson, and that's what it came about my fitness when I couldn't work out. I had to accept that things were going to change, and I had to let that go. I had to let God take charge and show me where I had pride. And again, the point here isn't that working out is bad. Working out's fantastic. I work out again now, I'm better. The point is that we sometimes make connections with the physical world which are actually harming our growth spiritually. And this is why I'm wary of these morning routine videos. They're tacitly informing young men that the best you can be is rich, is loaded, is living this individualistic life. But that's not really the answer, and none of this is really real anyway. True life, true soul, is beyond the concerns of the individual. It's when that melts into deeper being, or God's will if you like, that we find our true purpose. This is the place beyond the concerns of the individual, free from the materialistic pull of the temptations of the world, but also free from fear, doubt, and anger. It's what Christ referred to as the kingdom of heaven within you. Any energy that's rooted in the whole, in God's love, to use religious language, always creates more life. It creates stable cultures, well-being, communities, health within yourself, both physically, mentally, and spiritually. Now, it's reawakening to this truth rather than the individualistic materialism that will see a return to true health and true love, both in ourselves and in our communities and traditions. Of course, it's a mission of mine on the Substack to talk about this. I'm going to start doing some group work again down the line. Do reach out to me if you're interested about that, and also let me know your thoughts about this down below. Please do subscribe to the channel as well if you're new.